to World Crisis Radio. This is our special On Wisconsin political strike support program, and I hope the people out there who follow this broadcast do something to get this message into the ranks of those Wisconsin teachers and other workers. We're told that in addition to Trumpka coming there to strut around, I hope he brings some mass forces with him if he's got any. I hope he springs for some buses. The International Brotherhood of Teamsters mobilizing. This, of course, not so far from the Minneapolis area where there was a general strike led by Teamsters back in the 1930s. All of this now, 70, 80 years later, becoming relevant. It's obviously important to move lots of people into Madison, Wisconsin on Friday and Saturday and make sure that you put on a large-scale demonstration. And I don't mean the Golden Youth of Cairo in Tahrir Square, but actual forces of labor and its allies, the political labor movement and its allies. So that's what others can contribute. But now we have to think about the program, because here it is in a nutshell. If your only demand is take back these cuts, no cuts, or which is good, and we have basically nobody saying that. I think this is what a lot of the state workers would want, but that's not the Democrats in the Wisconsin state legislature. It's not the trade union leaders. They simply say, allow us to negotiate for the cuts, and then we'll give you the cuts. That's obviously not good enough. The only acceptable position is no cutting, no cutting, no gutting. But once you say this, you've then got to say, the next question is obviously, well, where should the money come from? Where indeed? Well, one obvious thing is roll back the tax cuts for the rich, roll back the corporate welfare, in particular the Wisconsin mini version of this that we've just seen, the $120 million or so of a bonanza for corporate welfare interests, roll that back. But then there's got to be something more. And at this point, we have to be very categorical. The issue of the Wall Street sales tax, the Wall Street sales tax, the Tobin tax, the Robin Hood tax, the securities transfer tax, the trading tax, the financial turnover tax, that Wall Street sales tax is the key to victory or defeat. If the people in Wisconsin can educate themselves under these conditions of crisis to understand why you've got to shift the burden of the Depression off the backs of working people, be they state or private or unemployed or retired or students or military or anybody, onto the backs of the Wall Street hyenas who created the crisis. That's got to be it in a nutshell. Who should pay for the Depression? Depressions are expensive. Their cost is in the quadrillions. Who should pay? Well, Wall Street should pay. How are you going to do that? You've got to have some intelligible way of making that understandable and then implementing it in the form of legislation. The answer is the Wall Street sales tax. The Wall Street sales tax. Now, if you know any teachers in Wisconsin, if you know this guy John Matthews of Madison Teachers Incorporated, he was on TV the other day, any way you have of getting some of this information in there, without a program, they will be isolated, they will be surrounded, they will be picked off, they will be defeated, they will be crushed. And we can't afford to lose. There's got to be program. Without the program, you can't bring in the mass forces. Now, here's the program that I would recommend. And watch out for Ed Schultz. Ed Schultz is there to report on it, I think, but also to ride herd. MSNBC has a kind of a distant relation with this strike now. I think maybe Immelt is afraid that the strike may kick over into his General Electric plants or maybe even into his GE Capital offices, which is really where his center of gravity is. Let's look at the program. You've got to have something broader than just the immediate question of trade union rights and the cuts, although those have to be included in the program most emphatically. The key to this is you've got to express not just the immediate interest of your own group. You've got to express one of the basic survival needs of the entire society so that you can actually say honestly and in the real world, my fight is the defense of the entire society, at least the vast majority. Right? We can't defend the interests of the Koch brothers. The Tea Party is there to do that. But in terms of the rest of us humans, you've got to find a way to express that, the needs of the whole society. and a way, of course, to isolate the predators, who are very few in number, if you can just get ideological clarity and a clearly defined class against class front. Now, the classes we're talking about are Plato's classes, the oligarchy against the people. Well, the oligarchy is organized. How about the people? Are they organized? Are they aware of themselves? Do they understand their situation, their need for a united front, and so forth? Or will they let themselves be divided? We'll go through the divisions that somebody like Rush Limbaugh has been trying to sow in his amazing freakout in his radio monologue today. But let's go through the program, because the program is the most important thing. Your first demand is, of course, yes, trade union rights, collective bargaining. We need to go back to the Wagner Act. The Wagner Act says everybody has the right to join a union. Notice, everybody in the United States. No more of this right-to-work stuff. No states with low wages where unions are impossible to organize. Generally, it means the southern states. Trade union rights. Roll back the Taft-Hartley Act, because the Taft-Hartley Act is the thing that lets these right-to-work states, so-called, these union-busting states, carry on the way they do. So, yes, maintain trade union rights. And, of course, that would imply a commitment by labor to organize people who are currently unorganized. Organize the unorganized, guys. Hey, you UAW, right? You're concerned about your retirees, yeah, but you got to be concerned about these new people. You got to get your center of gravity into somewhat younger generations than it is now. So trade union rights just doesn't mean trade union rights for the lucky few who are in the public sector unions. It means that this has got to be extended to everybody, and they've got to be seen as doing that. They've got to make sacrifices, put in resources, not just pay money to the Democratic Party. Stop doing that. Go out and organize. And, of course, you can pick your candidates from time to time. Your second point, after trade union rights, stop the Taft-Hartley Act, go back to the Wagner Act, your second point, no cutting, no gutting. And that's for everybody. No wage cuts, no pension cuts, no Medicare cuts, no Social Security cuts, no Medicaid cuts. That's the medical assistance for poor people. No cuts in unemployment benefits. Those have got to be maintained. No cuts to Head Start. No cuts in LIHEAP. You hear that, Obama? No cuts in the low-income heating assistance program so grandma in Maine doesn't freeze, and so forth. And, of course, it gets pretty cold in Wisconsin, too. They're going to need a lot of LIHEAP in Wisconsin and Minnesota and places like this. So the general rule is that austerity does not work. These cuts are suicidal. An idiot like Walker, with his reactionary ideology, comes forward and says, well, we're going to cut the budget, and then we'll be able to have a balanced budget. Wrong. You'll never have a balanced budget. The unanimous historical verdict is in, and it says that in a depression, if you insist on cutting the budget, your deficit will be bigger the next time around. Ask Schwarzenegger in California, cutting the budget for years, and the deficit gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Don't go down that path. You kill people that way. Back in a minute.